The Politics podcast is brought to you, as always, by patreon.com/JURY. You want more politics? Well, you can get it. $3 per week. That's what the thing is. It says per episode. I know there's a lot of episodes. It's not about per episode. It's about each week. For $3, you get 3 different episodes of this show. One on Monday, the free one as always on Wednesday, and then, of course, another on Friday. So, it's a great time. It's a good thing for everybody. Also, you want to sign up for my newsletter? Go to freepoliticalnewsletter.com. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. 5 days a week, 5 links each day. You can stay up to date with the stuff that I'm reading and what I care about. There's some gifts. There's some hot takes. Fun time all around. Also, The Contender, the game of presidential debate, the card game, social party card game that I invented with my buddy John Teasdale. It is now on sale for Independence Week. So go ahead on over to thecontender.us, $17.76. Get it? That's what will buy you the base deck. And for those of you who already have the game, thank you so much for supporting it. You can augment your deck with our mini expansions. Normally they're $10, but this week and this week only, they are buy one, get one free. Just use code ROCKETS at checkout. Fill your cart with as many of those mini expansions as you want. As long as it's an even number, cut that price in half when you enter code ROCKETS at checkout. Enough of talking about how we support this show. Oh, what do you say we just do the damn thing?
Politics, 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 politics. Politics, yes. Come on, come on, come on.
Ooh, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the July 4th episode of the Politics podcast. Oh, we got so much to talk about. We got so much to talk about here today. We got a little call and response here, a little Borscht Belt humor. You know, you heard of this one? Folks, welcome. You heard of this one? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez scored one of the biggest upsets in our modern political history. You hear this one? She's pretty poor. How poor is she? She's so poor that her bio listed her as going 40 minutes each way to school and determining that where a zip code or how a zip code could affect the trajectory of somebody's life. Oh, but wait, says somebody in the crowd in this fictitious Borscht Belt Catskills comedy club that I am inventing here for your mind. But is she really poor? Oh, my God. Well, actually, you're here. Yes, I am. I have done some research into exactly how poor this young woman is. Well, geez, I thought she'd kind of had a very interesting first week in the limelight. You know, she was a former bartender. She's 28 years fucking old. And she already had to deal with the fact that one of her old servers, I love, and by the way, I'm going to put this little sketch on hold. I love, as somebody who worked in the restaurant industry, who has family that owns and operate restaurants, that we got national coverage for tip pool server beef. It is so funny to me. And y'all tell me I need to take this shit seriously. Y'all for real tell me I got to take this shit seriously. We spent at least 4 of a 24-hour news cycle talking about whether or not Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the person who is the presumptive youngest House of Representatives member, who, by the way, is running against... We need to spend an entire episode on her opponent. Please remind me. Do not let me forget about her opponent. He's great. He literally has no website. He has raised no money. And his number one issue is the fact that he had a bad divorce. I need to talk to him for 17 hours. And I want to dedicate my entire podcast to his candidacy next week. But before we do that, we're going to talk more about the actual person who's going to win. That, of course, is the person who defeated Representative Crowley, one of the presumptive or a possible shortlist for Nancy Pelosi, should she be shuffled to the side in the possibility that we indeed watch a... That's just the way. Come in for the blue team during the elections in November. But we dealt with the fact that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, after a Cinco de Mayo that had gotten a big round of business for her Mexican restaurant where she worked as a bartender, that one of the servers was pissed that they didn't get enough money out of the tip pool. That was a news story because no one knows how to deal with this lady. She's 28 years old. So let's get back to my skit. My name is Well Actually, and I would like to actually this very conversation. My read Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's bio, wherein she paints herself to be some kind of Oliver Twist figure. Ah, please, sir, can I have some more? And yet, a simple property record search does reveal that her father bought a house. Oh, more so a house in a richer neighborhood. Yes. I love this. This is one of the funniest fucking things. It's so great. But also, it's like, we talked a little bit last week, and I really do, if I might pat myself on the back, enjoy the metaphor as we have this civility conversation, quote unquote, that we do need to understand that politics is a safe haven for suspended civility. Like, I mean the politics of politics. I'm not talking about how we deal with each other as people. That kind of bad behavior is on us. And as I said last week, the only thing I ever ask for, if you're going to be shitty to somebody because of politics, just own it. Just saying, I'm rude to this person because I don't agree with them politically. That's the life. That I'm about that life. That's what I like to do. Just don't blame it on the other side. Say, I'm doing this for me. However, I think that when we're talking about people who are running in races, stuff like that, there is an element of suspended civility. That's part of, like, I'm not saying it's nice. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that's the game. We also might have an interview coming up with somebody that had to deal with some like real down and dirty stuff. But we can get to that in all due time. Let's go ahead and read a little bit from this CBS News article about this very subject. Ocasio-Cortez fires back at a conservative TV host who shared a photo of her childhood home. Right-wing TV host John Cordillo tweeted a takedown of New York congressional candidate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that had at least one error. The right-wing host of America Talks Live on Newsmax TV posted a photo of Ocasio-Cortez's childhood home and observed that it's a far cry from the Bronx hood upbringing she's selling. In describing the small one-story ranch home, he tweeted, "This is the Yorktown Heights, very nice area, parenthetically, that Ocasio 2018 grew up in before going off to an Ivy League Brown University. A far cry from the Bronx hood upbringing she's selling." Ocasio-Cortez came back on Twitter and wrote, "Hey, John. I didn't go to Brown or the Ivy League. I went to BU. Try Google. And it is nice. Growing up, it was a good town for working people. My mom scrubbed toilets so I could live there. I grew up seeing how the zip code one is born in determines much of their opportunity." So she goes right back. They'll tell you what, sticking to her talking points. This is a good move. She's a good politician because she went right back to the talking point that's actually in her bio. She then adds, "Your attempt to strip me of my family, my story, my home, and my identity is exemplary of how scared you are to the power of all four things." Cordeo then tried to salve his scalded ass by admitting the fact that he fucked up her alma mater and said that, still, you're not a girl from the Bronx. I will pay attention to the jewels that you got because you're not Alexandria from the Bronx. I mean, look, dude, she's a 28-year-old waitress / bartender who became a presumptive federal representative. Like, there's not a lot that you can say, right? She's 28 years old. Beside the fact that it seems that we are at a crossroad into how we are handling, and by I'm talking the royal we of all of politics, is handling this woman. I find this woman fascinating. Because the Democrats are like, well, congratulations, yes. But does this mean we have to say everything that she's saying? The youthful blue team base is exploding with excitement. The money is flowing into other progressive candidates. Meanwhile, the right can't decide whether or not they want to attack her and point out that she's inexperienced and point out that she's promising things that historically, in the milieu of the conservative movement, have not worked. Or if they want to elevate her, they want to say, congratulations, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you are the face of the Democratic Party. Everybody, stand up and cheer. Stand up and cheer. Out of your seat. Out of your seat. The new face, the face of liberal values has arrived. Now, because in their mind, the idea is the more you put the S word into the air, the better it will be for the red team. Because although younger liberal voters have become more and more excited by the term socialism, writ large, the American populace shies away from it. Or at least this was the establishment thinking for Bernie Sanders. Now, I don't think it's going to matter for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She has effectively won her battle. She beat Crowley. She's got to beat this poor divorcee. And really now, she is best used, I think, probably on the road for other progressive candidates and to raise money. But on the same token, how do establishment Democrats feel about that? Do they, specifically by they, I mean Nancy Pelosi, does she really want more people who share these kind of values? Values that, by the way, include getting Nancy Pelosi the fuck out of her position? I don't know. I don't know. Here's what I do know. Whoop, whoop. Pull over. Whoop, whoop. We got the tone police. Tone police. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. I want you all to compare and contrast this for me. All right. I want y'all to please watch watch this. This is an RNC ad about the unhinged left. Here we go.
A few years ago, ideas that we talked about were thought to be fringe ideas, radical ideas, extremist ideas. Those ideas are now mainstream.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country.
So, by the way, if for those of you who are only listening on audio, that was indeed Bernie Sanders talking about fringe ideas. He's talking about economic ideas by and large, but they are showing images of burning limousines and Kathy Griffin holding up the severed Trump head. And now here we go. This is the image and visual of Maxine Waters.
See anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station. You get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
What's Uncle Tom but for white women who disappoint other white women?
One way you get rid of Trump is a crashing economy, so please bring on the recession.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
So that was a lot of celebrities. If you are keen in your hearing, you will recognize Johnny Depp, Madonna, and finally the image of the Snoop Dogg video where Snoop Dogg and a bunch of other fine fellows are pointing guns at a clown dressed like President Trump. And then the image, the left in 2018, unhinged. Now, the first thing that I thought of there was, what did that remind me of? Because what it is trying to say is that what is going on right now, tone-wise, is indicative of something dystopian. Something on the verge of civil war. That we are dealing with a political chasm that is not only so wide we can't talk to them, it is violent. And they are coming after you. This will increase until we have riots in the street. And it reminded me of this. Here's a little Wayback Machine. This is well, I don't really need to introduce this one. Here we go.
Putting a
the image or the text is, he really believes this.
Wife to work is a very dangerous thing. When I come home and dinner's not ready, I go through the roof.
Grab him by the
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
more accusers coming forward to say they were sexually assaulted by Donald Trump.
And I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed.
Donald Trump walked into the dressing room while contestants, some as young as 15, were changing.
Yeah. Standing there with no clothes. You see these incredible looking women.
I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers.
She ate like a pig.
A person who's flat-chested is very hard to be a 10.
So you treat women with respect?
I can't say that either.
All right, good.
Anyone who believes, says, does what he does is unfit to be the president. Oh, wait, hold on.
Clinton, and I approve this message.
Of course, the idea there, similarly, was this has gone too far. This isn't simply I was before it before I was against it. This isn't even Mitt Romney talking about the 34% or 40 whatever percent that expects benefits. This is, we've moved beyond the pale. Now, I think both take things out of context, but I'm not here to fucking measure one to another. I'm here to say that one obviously didn't work. Now, I have said time and time again that we have to be careful whenever we look at the lessons that we've learned from 2016 because it's a binary decision. We had to choose between two people, and people either sat home or voted for one of those two people or voted third party, right? But primarily you had a binary decision. So I don't want to go too far into the idea that this is indicative of a poor strategy. However, I do want to raise questions of exactly how much in the modern era we care about tone police arguments. Because I don't think that we do. I think that we live in a show me what you got political world. So, and this is just my sense from the Republican National Convention, right? Theoretically, the nadir of conservative excitement. The vast majority of people that I talked to, even Trump supporters, were very uncomfortable with the way that Trump talked about things. Just in the way that I'm sure that a majority of Democrats probably don't feel personally comfortable with whatever fucking Madonna and Johnny Depp say for sure, but probably even the Maxine Waters of the world saying that we need to physically confront members of the Trump candidacy. However, show me what you got. There are people that didn't vote for Trump that now support him because he won. Winning matters. If the argument that we need to be barricading Trump cabinet members into bathrooms so we can show them the cost of their crimes wins in November, then I think that people will be able to file that away into whatever corner of their conscience that they want to and say, well, we got the House. Well, we got the Senate. I don't know exactly whether or not you are going to make people clutch their pearls with these kinds of questions, with these kinds of scare tactics. But who knows? We'll see. It is July 4th. So I wanted to take this time to talk about America. I'll tell you, look at this. Rez VY says, yo, man, I'm a USA lover. You want to know what? So am I, Rezzy. I do love America. I believe in America. I am one of those weepy-eyed American exceptionalists. And the reason why is not because I believe that we are, you know, some kind of a race that was, or a group of people that is inherently imbued with something special. It is indeed the exact opposite. I believe that what makes America exceptional is our ability to fuck up. The idea that of America, I think, is exceptional because it's not one thing. It's something different. And when I say that America is the best country in the world, I don't mean it to say that some other country is bad or less than. I mean it on the idea, no matter how imperfectly we practice it, that whatever you like doing anywhere in the world, we're open to you coming here so you can do it better. That's a fascinating and amazing concept, and it is one that could only really be born in a nation as young as ours. It's impetuous. It's radical. Now, right now, specifically in my timeline, there is not a lot of yay America. There is a lot of boo America. And that's rad. I like boo America because the ability to loudly boo America is some of the best shit about being an American. And let's be careful when we before we poo-poo that idea, because certainly free speech is not something that is only in existence here. However, there's a lot of free speech is in many, many large countries, large swaths of population throughout this world, is facing a reckoning because of the internet. See, the existence of the internet and how we've handled it so far, again, imperfect, is, to me, a very American kind of idea. When we look at some of the restrictions in Europe, when we look at the fact that Chinese folks can't post a picture of their president as Winnie the Pooh, man, that's bad news. That's fundamental. That's cornerstone. That's something that we take for granted. All the fuck Trump, all the Drumpf, all the fucking Kofefe, all that shit, I love it. I want more of it. I'm excited when we can look the leader of our country in the face and say, fuck you. That's awesome. That's amazing. Now I know the letters I'm going to get. I know what I'm going to see. We have a president that calls the press the enemy of the people. And that's true. But I don't think the press are the people. And I come from somebody that loves the press. It used to be my job. I guess still technically is. I think that until we start making laws restricting these kinds of things, and until we stress test exactly how hard it is to repeal the laws that might be passed, well, that's what I'm proud about. America isn't one person. America isn't one group. America, if we really, 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 really want to get into it, isn't the America that we know right now. It is constantly evolving. It is constantly changing. And that is scary. It is scary for us to have as much freedom as we have because, man, sometimes some motherfuckers roll in and they do some shit that we don't like. But here's what I love about America. America is an ideal we can chase. At the same moment, it's the scapegoat we can blame. And as long as that's the case, man, am I proud to be an American. And on this, the birth date of our great country, I offer a salute. A salute that we are able to have the freedom that we have. A salute that we are able to make a living in so many different ways. A salute that we can have a life that I believe is a gift, if even a hashtag problematic and imperfect one, because I believe we can make it better. And I believe that we can have a good time while we were doing it. Which is why I would like to welcome you guys. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to break down the very lifeblood of democracy, statistical data. It is a Utah House of Representatives. Dance, 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 dance. This is a Salt Lake City Tribune poll from June 11th to June 18th. A sample of 379 likely voters. It pits your incumbent, Mia Love, against the challenger Democrat, Ben McAdams. Coming up first to the stage, with 39% of the vote, riding on that donkey, it is Ben McAdams.
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
But with 45% of the vote, please give a round of applause to your headliner, Mia. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is Mia Love, 45, McAdams, 39, a 6-point spread. A margin of error of 5%. That is a tiny, tiny sample size. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into but your emails. You can always email the show, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Again, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Scale writes, Alex Jones is a bloated gas bag. When this bloated gas bag bloviates, he blunders bombastically beyond the boundary of bueno behavior. But, and this is a bit... and this bit is the bulk of the benefit you'll bag my way of browsing this bulletin. His belief that the Bernie bros and the rest of the borscht brunching Buchanan bozos are brewing up a bit of brutality and betrayal is not entirely bogus. Be sure to bring your bulletproof breastplate, my brother, because liberals get the bullet too, and the sole act of benighting will be a blindfold and a bong hit before they blame you and every other bloke that didn't beat their boots briskly into the boots and bang the like button for that bitch Hillary. I jest, of course. I pray for cooler heads to prevail, but a civil war is like a brush fire. If you can smell the smoke, don't wait. Get out early. Scale, while I appreciate your optimism from the fair island of Australia, I think that a civil war only looks likely when you are staring at it through the lens of social media. But your alliteration was certainly appreciated. Big Jim writes, "Holy crap! Seriously, the Fart Act." If you missed this was this week. This was an Axios scoop, and I talked about it in the bonus episodes. Axios has a very specific kind of scoop in that they don't do the who farted where stories. That is like the domain of the Washington Post and the New York Times, of like somebody doesn't like somebody and somebody's planning something else and they wanted this, but then it was somebody else who said that you can't have this. They do the we got a hold of a proposal scoops. So they like get a idea that is indicative of a general thought process in the White House, but has not made it to the level of we're going to actually propose this. And so whether or not it is Axios getting fed these as a trial balloon or Axios just gets their hands on them and runs them remains to be seen, and it's probably a little bit of both. But the one that happened this week was the Fair and Reasonable Trade Act, a.k.a. the Fart Act. Big Jim continues. Do I even need to list how absolutely ridiculous and pompous the thought of this is? From a trade perspective, this is exactly how you kill an economy that's already getting back on its feet. Oh, I could rant about this for hours. Effectively, the Fart Act would blow up the World Trade Organization, which I think is hilarious because hashtag old enough to remember when people were literally rioting in the streets of Seattle because the World Trade Organization was a bad idea. Whew. Man, the older I get, the more I realize that 1984, and specifically just that we've always been at war with East Asia element of it, just gets fucking realer and realer. Tom, who wrote a very long email rightly shitting on my take from last episode that the Supreme Court appointment would not last until Election Day and would not be a poll motivator for the blue team. He made a very, very big point about this immediately after I did the episode and was proven right because almost immediately the Trump administration and the Senate made very clear they were going to push this forward as fast as possible. Said, I'm also hearing Susan Collins making a bunch of noise about not confirming a justice that had demonstrated hostility to Roe versus Wade. I think this is just a bunch of noise, and blue teams shouldn't get too excited about it. You can expect any nominee not wanting to get borked, which is the phrase of not being nominated because you are Robert Bork and you've spoken too much during your confirmation hearing, to be coy about Roe. Gorsuch, in his confirmation, simply stated that he accepted Roe as the law of the land and refused to give a straight answer. So all Trump has to do is nominate a justice who has never said anything publicly regarding Roe, and Collins will get in line to vote to confirm. I'm very interested to see. I do think that this appointment will be a little bit more dicey than the Gorsuch one. Gorsuch, I think, also skated a little further on this because he's like written a book on precedent. But it all kind of comes down to exactly how much people believe that a Roe versus Wade. I mean, look, there's a very high likelihood that not high likelihood. There's a higher likelihood than we've ever seen before that Roe versus Wade might be overturned in my lifetime, in my opinion. Personally, I have always tended to think that the overturning of Roe versus Wade is much akin to, in the sports world, people talking about soccer becoming the #1 sport in America. Yes, there are a lot of very good reasons why it might happen. Yes, it might happen in the future. I just doubt it right now. So, that being said, I wonder. Here, you want to know what? Let's read another Supreme Court email. Liam writes, just parroting some legal stuff from opening arguments. They covered the Anthony Kennedy situation on the most recent episode. It's not an alarmist podcast, and while they are left-leaning, they do try to push back on liberal freak-out narratives and inject some legal accuracy. But in this case, it really is awful news for us blue teamers. You were wondering whether the Democrats would block the nomination of a new justice until the elections. As much as they'd surely like to, legally speaking, there's nothing they can really do. The Republicans invoked the nuclear option to confirm Gorsuch, which means they can stop the filibuster with about 60 votes and only need 51. They will do the same for whoever Trump nominates next. So a center-right justice will be replaced by a far-right justice, and the Overton window will shift even further to the right. Worse, the guy who is now the swing vote, John Roberts, wrote a scathing dissent on Obergefell versus Hodges, the gay marriage decision, and has since indicated a desire to overturn it. So there is a pretty good chance that he will lose marriage equality, that we will lose marriage equality because of this as well. I think this is one of the rare occasions where the liberal freakout is warranted. Yes, and John Roberts did very much object to that decision. I would be curious to see where he goes, because also Chief Justice Roberts has indicated that he feels an obligation to preserve public faith in the court. That was part of his Obamacare decision. So I don't know. I do think that there is a higher likelihood now that we would see a repeal of Roe versus Wade based on a case. I think that people will be bringing more cases for sure past this appointment to test whether or not the Supreme Court will do it. But we will see. Because also the other question is, does this mean that we see more activism on the state side to push back on the Supreme Court, invalidating abortions, right? The right to get an abortion. We will see. This is part of the shifting landscape of our American system. Finally, Bill writes, throughout the controversy with DACA and the children in cages, I feel like President Trump has been very consistent and not about his hatred of immigrants or racism. It seems to me that what it is really about is making Congress do their job. DACA was instituted by President Obama after Congress failed to pass the DREAM Act. The legislative branch is who should be responsible for this, and when President Trump decided not to renew DACA, he gave Congress 6 months to get their act together and pass the DREAM Act. It feels to me like a clear case where he was passing the power back to the legislative branch, which we should all agree it belongs. With President Trump's zero-tolerance policy, all he did was enforce the laws that are already in place. Based on my feelings on DACA about passing power back to the legislative branch, this feels very similar. I feel that a case can be made that President Trump instituted zero tolerance to force Congress to force these policies where in the past they were in place but enforced inconsistently. When they didn't act fast enough, he executed a presidential order to fix some of it. Where my argument falls apart is that's what President Trump is trying to do. Then you would think that the Trump administration would come out and say this, but maybe he doesn't give a shit what everybody thinks. and he's just trying to do the right thing. I would love to see the conversation be more about the people that we elect actually doing the things that we elect them for. But, you know, que sera, sera. Folks, you can always email this show, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. No, you can't. Sorry. Take that back. theyoungamerican@gmail.com. You can get the Contender cheap this week. 1776 decks, $17.76. Just go to thecontender.us. Buy one, get one free mini expansions. Use code ROCKETS at checkout, as in Rockets Red Glare, if you need help remembering it. If you have Amazon Prime, way you can support the show for free is by going over to twitch.tv. You don't have a Twitch account, don't worry. Twitch.tv/Justin R. Young is where you can find me. You can create a Twitch account very easily. You subscribe to the channel for free. It's just available to you on Amazon Prime. No more money out of your pocket. You already paid for it. If you already did it last month, you got to come back and do it this month. I wish it auto-renewed. It doesn't. Folks, oh yeah, freepoliticalnewsletter.com. Another way to do it. If you like this show, then I like you. That's about wraps it up for us. I love you guys. Remember, some shows talk about politics. Others talk about politics. This is the only... I saw another show talking about fucking politics of all things. This is the only show that talks about all free. See you guys next week.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program. Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.